Johnny Carson, the legendary host of The Tonight Show from 1962 to 1992, was known for his impeccable comedic timing, charm, and ability to make his guests feel at ease. While he maintained a professional demeanor on camera, there were indeed some guests who rubbed him the wrong way behind the scenes, though he rarely spoke publicly about personal grievances. Carson was notoriously private, and although he never released an official list of guests he hated, several accounts from crew members, fellow entertainers, and biographers offer insight into some uncomfortable interactions he had during his 30-year career. One of the most commonly cited clashes was with Bob Hope. While the two icons appeared friendly on television, Carson reportedly grew tired of Hope's insistence on using cue cards and pre-written jokes. Carson, who valued spontaneity and natural conversation, found Hope's appearances too scripted. According to Carson's longtime writer Dick Cavett, Carson once said, "He's got nothing to say unless it's written." Despite being polite on the surface, their relationship was said to be strained, especially in the later years. Another figure who didn't sit well with Carson was Joan Rivers, not for her on-air personality, which he admired, but for what happened off-camera. Rivers had been a frequent guest and guest host on The Tonight Show, and Carson had mentored her career. But when she accepted a deal to host her own late-night show on Fox in 1986 without informing Carson first, he was deeply offended. Carson saw it as a betrayal and cut off all contact with her. He never spoke to her again, and she was banned from the show permanently during his tenure. Wayne Newton, the entertainer known for his Las Vegas performances, also had a notable dispute with Carson. In the early 1980s, Carson made repeated jokes about Newton's masculinity, which reportedly offended the singer. Newton confronted Carson privately, and although they smoothed things over on the surface, the tension lingered for years. Newton later spoke publicly about the incident, saying he lost respect for Carson after feeling humiliated. Buddy Hackett, a fellow comedian and frequent guest, also had a complex relationship with Carson. While the two were cordial on camera, Hackett later said in interviews that he felt Carson could be cold and dismissive behind the scenes. Hackett admired Carson's talent but didn't appreciate what he perceived as arrogance and a tendency to distance himself emotionally from his guests. Jane Fonda reportedly caused discomfort during a politically charged appearance in the 1970s. Fonda, known for her outspoken activism against the Vietnam War, clashed with Carson's more traditional approach to interviews. Carson preferred light-hearted conversation and entertainment, and he was said to be visibly uncomfortable during her appearance, which touched on war and politics in a way that diverged from the show's usual tone. Another rocky encounter came with Don Rickles, though their feud was more comedic than personal. Rickles and Carson had an ongoing gag where Rickles would mock Carson, but on at least one occasion, Carson stormed onto the set of CPO Sharky, Rickles' show, after discovering Rickles had broken his cigarette box. Though played for laughs, the incident revealed Carson's prickly side when routines were disrupted without his approval. Arnold Schwarzenegger also left a mixed impression. While not hated, Carson reportedly found him difficult to interview during early appearances. Schwarzenegger's thick accent and limited English at the time made conversation awkward, and Carson struggled to maintain the usual rhythm of his show. However, as Schwarzenegger became more media-savvy, their interactions improved. Lastly, Cher once shocked Carson by appearing on the show and calling him a jerk, albeit jokingly. Carson, who expected a more formal introduction, was caught off guard. While the incident was smoothed over on air, he was said to be irked by the unexpected comment, feeling it crossed the line. While hate is a strong word, it's clear that Johnny Carson, like any major public figure, had complicated relationships with some of his guests. His legendary professionalism meant most viewers never saw those tensions, but behind the curtain, even the king of late night had his share of grievances.